Superintendent. Welcome, Madam Superintendent Tahiliani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to all of you and to everyone watching at home. So we're going to start this evening with a school reopening update. Just want to share our screen.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
All right, so the 2021 school year is underway. Our fully remote learning model, our e-education in Everett model, commenced on Tuesday, September 15th. So we have finally returned to synchronous teaching and learning, and we are finally back with our students, which we are very grateful for. So what lies ahead is an immense opportunity for improvement, advancement, and refinement as we move forward. So as the days and weeks pass, all of us will develop more confidence and comfort. We will build the capacity of our students, and we will make the absolute most of this unprecedented school year. Tonight's presentation is one I've been waiting very many months to deliver, one that details the actual day-to-day operation of the Everett Public Schools, and one that is set against the backdrop of live teaching and learning. It's also one that highlights the fact that we are finally back together as a district. We are no longer imagining remote learning. We are now fully experiencing it, and we are learning from it. And we will be the better for it. So this optimism is not springing simply from my mind, but it is also based on what I saw last week, which is what I would like to share with you. So obviously I had the pleasure of visiting all of our schools last week. After months of planning every facet of the reopening, it was fantastic to see our dedicated professionals putting the district's plan into action. What I saw above all else was a collective group of teachers and staff and administrators doing everything possible they could to help our students and families with this transition. While a great majority of our students are participating in e-education from home, there was a soothing buzz in our buildings last week. There was activity and energy, but it was controlled and positive. Problems arose and people solved them. I saw this at every level of our district, whether it was a custodian quickly responding to an operational issue in an e-learning center, to one of our new family liaisons providing in-person help to a family. So as you might expect, the moments from last week I will never forget are those that revolve around seeing our young students interacting with their classmates and their teachers. Sheer happiness has been, in short supply over the last 6 months, but that is what I saw last week. I saw teachers smiling and enthusiastically engaging their students. There is no substitute for watching the in-person interaction between teachers and students, but given the circumstances that we are in, I was very happily satisfied to see the smiling faces of our teachers being met by the smiling faces of our students through computer screens. Last Tuesday, I was as nervous as I was on my first day as a teacher, but my nerves were quickly calmed as I got to visit our schools. I arrived first at the Parlin School, where Principal Dennis Lynch and his staff oversaw a very orderly arrival process. Inside the Parlin, my fears turned to delight as I got to watch our teachers doing what they do best. My final realization that the school year had absolutely and unequivocally started occurred when I listened to a teacher explain to her very little ones to remember that they shouldn't wear their pajamas to class, even if it is on Zoom. And another teacher who played a game with her students using flashcards of a microphone with a mute signal on and one with a mute signal off to have them practicing turning off and on their sound. That feeling did not diminish as I visited all of the other schools, Everett High, the Madeline English, the Cavarian, the Lafayette, and the Whittier schools. The other locations where we are hosting our e-learning centers, I saw just as much energy. I saw clean and orderly buildings that have effective signage on walls and floors, hand sanitizing and PPE stations, plenty of bottled water, and most importantly, our dedicated paraprofessionals and staff members overseeing it all. With all of that said, we must also recognize the frustrations and difficulties everyone is facing in different ways and at different times during this process. As one teacher said to me, virtual teaching has made her more sympathetic to the parents of our students, and I think that sentiment is shared by all of us. To be more specific, during the first week of school, our teachers rightfully shared concerns about those students who did not yet have technology, Chromebooks in particular, to participate in e-education. So with each passing day, we are building the capacity of our students by closing technology gaps. Just last week, we received hundreds of iPads for our youngest students and hundreds of Chromebooks for students who didn't receive one in this spring. We also have Wi-Fi hotspots to distribute to families with no or unreliable internet access. I thank our families so much for their patience as we've done everything within our power to procure technology and equipment as quickly as we can, even though much of it is heavily backordered. But I am thrilled to report that the families eligible for round one of our technology distribution were notified via email last week that they can pick up their materials beginning tomorrow. So families who could not be reached by email last week, if their emails bounced back or we were just unable to get them, they were called today by our administrative assistant. So that was over 200 phone calls. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the many staff members who have worked tirelessly on our tech distribution. So this slide includes a photo of the staff who scanned, labeled, and registered the delivery of Chromebooks, iPads, and Wi-Fi hotspots last Friday and then again today. We will announce further distribution information as we receive additional stock and schedule those delivery dates. Now, for a slight change of pace, we actually have a short video prepared for you by our TV studio. It features our educators at work and gives you kind of a feel for what e-education looks like as our teachers either deliver live instruction to their students or film recorded lessons. So hopefully you will enjoy this. So as you can see, it looks a little different from our normal school year, but we are so excited to have so many of our teachers so enthusiastic about being back with their students, even if it is in a slightly different circumstance than what we generally experience. So we are pleased to report that we also opened up our doors at the Cavarian, Lafayette, Whittier, Parlin, English, and Everett High School on the first day of school. And as of today, we have accepted 578 students in our e-education learning centers. So the video that you just saw were teachers who were teaching their e-education, and those were teachers who had elected to do that from their classrooms, but we also have the e-education learning centers in the buildings as well. Students were confirmed for their assigned ELC slot based on their indication of not showing any COVID symptoms, their IEP status, their reason for needing the ELC, and the timestamp of their application. So the first week of school, we registered all students who submitted a registration request at the ELC, unless they indicated that they were experiencing symptoms. We have made a commitment to the Everett School community to offer e-education learning centers, and these are providing a safe space for our students to access this e-education at home, especially for our families who are essential workers or who may find it difficult to provide consistent supervision for our students. And our e-education learning centers have been staffed with proctors who are able to help students log into their Zoom classes and virtual learning platforms, manage masks breaks, meals, and recess. Our proctors speak several languages such as English, Spanish, Portuguese, Haitian Creole, or French. Some families indicated they needed the ELC because they did not have reliable internet at home. And for those families, we actually contacted them and we helped them complete the technology needs survey to obtain a hotspot instead. Obviously, if they need the e-learning center for different reasons, we would be offering it. But if it was just technology that was the barrier, we wanted to make sure they knew that we have hotspots available. Families who indicated lower priority reasons, such as wanting their child to be with friends, were waitlisted as we are balancing our capacity at each school where staffing has recently shifted or changed. But it is noteworthy to mention that there are students who are on the wait list to attend their regularly assigned school for an e-learning center. However, we do have capacity in buildings that are not the student's regularly assigned school. So we are contacting families about attending a school that is different from their assigned school if capacity is available. And so that way, even if they do want to attend one, it may not be the school that they normally go to, but they would still have an opportunity to attend one. On Thursday, September 24th, we will be going through the attendance from all of the schools and seeing which students have not attended any of their registered days. We'll then follow up with those families just to make sure everything's okay and they don't need the spot. We will then be working on a procedure to open up seats to those on our waiting list for their assigned schools to best accommodate the requests from our families. So on this next slide, you'll see that we are continuing to assess the air quality of our schools, and we do have good news about that. We are doing this first and foremost to ensure the safest possible conditions at our e-learning centers, and we are doing it to best prepare our buildings throughout the 3 phases of our reopening. It is possible in many areas to work on multiple tracks to meet the immediate needs of our e-learning centers and also to best prepare for the arrival of our larger groups of students during phase 2 and 3 of our plan. So ongoing HVAC assessment and modification is a prime example of this, and that is the approach that we are taking. We contracted with Urhot Environmental Solutions, who are certified indoor air quality professionals, and were referred to us by the Facilities Maintenance Department from the city. All school buildings were tested on September 10th or 11th. There were different types of tests performed at each building, as well as for tests for temperature, relative humidity, and CO2 readings taken at each building. In terms of testing for air quality, no less than 5 and up to 15 air samples were collected from random locations throughout each school building. The samples were collected using a Zefron mini pump onto aerosol cassettes and analyzed at a lab in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Mold spore levels were identified and compared to those levels found outside on a typical New England school day. The findings from the testing air quality indicated that there were no elevated levels of mold spores, particulates, or other background debris found. The mold spore levels were well below the acceptable limits for good indoor air quality based on the industrial hygiene standards, and below what one could be exposed to on a typical day in New England. The results indicate that at the time of testing, the buildings have sufficient filtration and airflow, and that air quality is safe for building use. In terms of testing sample surfaces, no less than 10 and as many as 15 swab tests were performed on random surfaces such as desktops, doorknobs, bathroom stalls, light switches, and other areas which are considered high-touch surfaces and would have the potential to spread germs if not disinfected properly. The swabs are examined in a self-contained device and analyzed through the use of a luminometer. There are 3 possible results, less than 10 indicating the surface has been sufficiently disinfected, 11 to 29 indicates a warning, meaning that a surface is not adequately cleaned and disinfected, and greater than 30, which indicates that the surface is dirty. The findings at the time of testing indicated that all surfaces were found to have been well disinfected. Finally, temperature, relative humidity, and CO2 readings were also taken. These readings are completed to test that the temperature and relative humidity is within the range for an indoor environment, and that the CO2 levels are within recommended ranges in comparison again to the outside air. So these results allow a determination as to the effectiveness of the ventilation systems and that sufficient fresh air intake is actually occurring. So the findings at the time of testing indicated that all temperatures, relative humidity, and CO2 readings were well within recommended ranges, and an indication that our HVAC systems are working properly, including a sufficient fresh air intake distribution through the tested areas. So to summarize, the results provide us with a measurement that at this time of testing, the air quality inside our buildings is within range and quality of the outside air. Our cleaning and disinfecting protocol at this time are providing a safe environment as well. And our HVAC system is providing proper ventilation, temperature control, and fresh air intake. So this means that the results are excellent. Our cleaning disinfectant protocols are working and our HVAC systems are doing what they are meant to do. In terms of recommendations for future action, we are considering random testing to be completed again after the buildings become more and more occupied. We're also considering individual air purifiers in buildings or classrooms, just for when we have a higher number of students and staff within those spaces. And we are exploring and equipping our HVAC systems with HEPA filters if possible. So in response to a question that was raised during the last school committee meeting, I wanted to provide an update on our efforts to enable families to receive text messages from the district. So as of late last week, more than 2,700 families had opted into the service by texting yes to 67587. Obviously, we want this number to grow, and we will regularly be monitoring the metrics to check that they are trending upward. In the short term, we will encourage our family liaisons to share this information with families, which will increase participation. In the meantime, we are utilizing the text feature on a regular basis. Our most recent message was a direct link to an interest form for families who are interested in taking a tech class on the basics of some of the platforms that are essential to e-education. Also, during the reopening planning process, we were asked to help families update their contact information as individuals change their cell phone numbers and email addresses during the course of the school year. So we have posted a quick and easy form in 4 languages on our website that allows families to easily update this information. To date, more than 1,100 people have filled out the form. Every week, we give the appropriate data to each school so staff can input the information into our X2 system. And in conclusion, I want to briefly talk about a reality that fortunately will become more prevalent as we move into the 2021 school year. Namely, everything we are doing is not simply a reaction to COVID-19. On the contrary, I think we are actually making changes that are designed to permanently improve our district. We are offering services that will assist families not only today, but also in our future. And we are seeing that this paradigm shift come to life. The family liaisons we have hired are a prime example of this. These 16 individuals who can provide assistance in French, Haitian Creole, Portuguese, and Spanish will be integral to engaging families over the long term, not just this year. Certainly, we will utilize them to make large-scale connections with parents and students, but their impact will also be felt on a personal level as well. Last week, while I was visiting the Cavarian School, our liaison, Steve August, was intently working with the family to fill out an e-learning center registration form. This is just a simple but ideal example of how our liaisons can help a family on the spot and in the moment. Secondly, we have seen a tremendous immediate impact from our telephonic translation service, Lionbridge. So this chart shows how many calls we have taken with the help of this service in a very short period of time. What the chart does not show, but which is a crucial point to point out, is that it represents questions that were answered, or issues that were clarified, or problems that were solved. As one teacher said to me last week, and I quote, "The service made such a huge difference in getting students connected." So to reiterate, we are making changes that are designed to permanently improve our district, and we are seeing this paradigm shift immediately, even after just 2 weeks of implementing it. We are offering services that we truly believe will assist our families, not only today or tomorrow, but at any time in our future. So at this time, I welcome any questions.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barros, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to first thank the superintendent for the presentation, and also our staff members, especially those who are in our e-learning centers. I went last week I stopped by the high school, and my goal was just to see how things work, talk to them. Ended up staying there for almost 2 hours, talking to our family liaisons, looking at how they're interacting with students, getting suggestions from them, which I already passed on to the superintendent. Spoke with folks in our in our cafeteria, and the idea of opening the learning centers, it was just fantastic. I was a little skeptical, I have to say, because of the coronavirus situation. But what I saw there were first kids that really needed to be there. Students who, are first time coming to the schools, they are learning English. I saw the interaction with the teachers in their computers. And our parent liaisons, we speak several languages, like assisting them, translating to the teachers sometimes, helping them with emails. Like, it was like a family environment, which I was, and they were not doing that because the school committee member was there. Actually, I was looking at that even before they realized that I was there. So I think the Learning Center idea was just fantastic, and I was so happy with what I saw there. Of course, as the superintendent mentioned, there are now areas of improvements. There are kids who still don't have Chromebooks, but they have now. But it's just like, I invite those who don't know the reality of our district and our families to see that, even with under the circumstances that we are under COVID, that idea of the learning centers was crucial to us, because those students that I saw there, I could not picture them at home by themselves learning through a computer, because one, their parents are not home. Their parents are working almost 24 hours. They do not speak English. They do not have technology high skills on technology, so it'll be even harder for them to assist their kids. So I just wanna say that I was very happy with the learning centers, and I'm glad that more students are going, and there are others in the waiting list based on the superintendent's presentation, because the need is there, and they were not. Of course, they wish they were interacting with their classmates and chatting and doing what normal kids like to do, but they were like on their seat. If they had to go to the bathroom, a family liaison or a teacher, which I saw a special ed teacher in high school, was like following them to the bathroom. They were coming back and back to the computer, back to the class. They could go outside, but they were wearing masks all the time that they were there. There were hand sanitizers, so it was a great idea, and I just want to congratulate the superintendent, but also the staff that I saw there, and who, they're crucial for that to happen, because as I said, and I'll end on that, those kids really needed to be there. I could not see them like studying from home. They probably wouldn't be studying from home if we didn't have that. So I just want to thank everyone for that and share what I saw there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Barros. Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to Madam Superintendent. Was there any overall attendance issues, even from e-learning from home?
I don't actually have the numbers, but I will get those for you, because we are taking what is now considered virtually present and virtually tardy. And so we definitely have been reaching out to some students who we know haven't come. We do have some students who are coming and like utilizing their phone because they don't have a Chromebook. So we can get you those disaggregated results, but right now, again, we are just trying to make sure that we're calling to see what the issue is, making sure we're getting Chromebooks, because most of the time when they were absent, it was because they didn't have a device.
Okay. And even if we could break it down by grade, because I think the issues will differ by grade. And again, as a parent, fantastic job. And thank you to all the teachers and especially all the parents. It's been an interesting week. And I think we've all seen how much teachers put into it, but also how much the parents are there supporting. And so thank you. And just a reminder to lunch is available and breakfast 3 to 4 at all the schools every day. So make sure you go grab some.
Thank you, Ms. Lambert. Anyone else?